millions of people out there that are not receiving the Social Security benefits they're eligible for and need. So, unfortunately, for a lot of those, it's too late. They filed years ago or decades ago, and their benefits have been reduced ever since, and they've lost a lot of money. But hopefully, some of those we can help. But if you haven't filed, if you filed recently, let's see if we can find you some money and get you everything you're entitled to. So, if you're new to my channel, my name is Ed Weir, former manager of the Social Security Administration. I've worked inside the bureaucratic beast for a couple of decades, and let's see what we can do. Get everything. This is a live broadcast. I do one. I've been doing one every single day. So I'm going to talk about all of the programs there that might be able to help you and your family and friends around you. And so watch this not only for you, but for everybody around you. And then once I talk about that, it should take probably 15-20 minutes to go through all of the possible programs out there that you can take advantage of. And then I am going to open it up for questions. So if you're watching this video later and you say, wait a second, this video is an hour, I'm not going to watch an hour. Most of it was a question and answer. So if you have a particular question, make sure you subscribe and come on back and let's see what we can do. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into it. One of the big ones, if you watch any of my YouTube comments and live Q&As, and there's so many people that are missing this. If you've been denied for spouse benefits, so we're talking your current spouse or divorced spouse or whatever the case may be, you heard through the grapevine, some social media, this, that, or the other, that you can't get benefits, or you actually went into the Social Security Administration and filed for benefits or called, and they say you're not entitled to benefits. That might not be the final decision. Things change. And unfortunately, I know there's hundreds of thousands of people out there that are missing money every single month because they don't realize this. They're not getting the information. So here's the deal. If you are married or were married for 10 years to someone and you go ahead and file for benefits on your own record, whether it's 62, 63, so you have to file for benefits on your own record. And in order to get spousal benefits, the current spouse or the ex-spouse has their PIA, their primary insurance amount, which is basically their benefit at their full retirement age, has to be twice your amount. So what we see happening is across the country, people call Social Security and say, can I get any more money? And they say, they look at your PIA, then look at the PIA from the first spouse or the second spouse or the third spouse or whatever. And they say, no, there's no more money there. And they deny your application because there's no more money there. You're entitled because you were married to 10 years, but you're denied because there's no money there. Okay. And then those people, hundreds of thousands probably throughout the country, just go on with their lives and completely forgot about it. Social Security told me I'm not entitled to those benefits, so I guess I'm never entitled to those benefits. But that's 100% incorrect, because everything changes. When an ex-spouse passes away, you don't get up to 50%. Now you get up to 100%. So there are people walking around today getting half essentially of their benefit, less than half of their benefit they're entitled to, because an ex-spouse passed away. So here's what you do. If you keep in touch with that ex-spouse through children or whatever the case may be, then when you find out that person passed away, you immediately call Social Security Administration and say, okay, what about now? I wasn't last year or 3 years ago or 5 years ago entitled, but that person has since passed away. What about now? And then again, the numbers are completely different. And another thing as well, even if that person hasn't passed away and you filed benefits on your own record last year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ago, whatever, and that person is still out there alive and kicking, if that person worked and paid into Social Security, Social Security determines the benefit amount by your high 35 years. So if that person continued to work and you called Social Security 5 years ago and they say there's no more money there, but now that person has worked for the past 5 years and now there's more money there, it's probably not a lot, because they averaged it over the high 35 years, but it's your money. Every buck's a buck, or $10, $100. And most importantly, if you get benefits on that person's record, you file a claim on that person's record, then you are on that person's record. So if that person passes away, you're not really in touch with that person, you don't know where that person is, whatever the case may be. Once wherever they are in the world, when they pass away, if you're already on that record, your benefit will automatically increase. In Social Security insider jargon, we used to call it auto convert. So it automatically converts from a living spouse claim to a surviving spouse claim. So please go out there and yes, if this doesn't apply to you, I want you to get a piece of paper for the rest of this video. And if you're watching this recording, stop now, go get a piece of paper and a pen and write down and say divorce spouse benefits. Do I know anybody like that? Aunt, uncle, the lady down the street that works at the diner, the gas station, someone at my church or temple or synagogue or wherever, anywhere, doesn't matter where it is. Write that name down and say, okay, next time I talk to that person, I'm going to say, hey, weren't you married before? And yeah, did you ever see if you can get more benefits? Oh yeah, I applied 5 years ago, and they said there's no more money there. I would check again. So please, let's go out there. And the reason the reason so many people aren't getting the benefits they're entitled to is Social Security just does a terrible job of informing people. Like, I work for Social Security, third busiest office in the country, and I know this is a fact. They just don't have the budget to do a lot of advertising and stuff like that. So that's why we're here today. So I got someone in my YouTube comment said, Ed, you're pandering. So you're telling people to subscribe. You're pandering to these people. Yes, I agree 100%. But the reason that person saw my video is because someone else subscribed and liked. And this is how this whole thing works, unfortunately. Yes, I hate saying please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share and all that kind of stuff. But this is how we get that information out there. This is how this whole thing works. Is if you don't do that, then I am just, some idiot sitting there talking to a camera all day, and nobody watches. I'm already some idiot talking to him. My old Marine Corps sergeant comes in there. You are an idiot. But anyway, but yes, if you don't do all that, it doesn't work. I've got over 300 videos, and the reason people see those videos is because you subscribe, like, and okay, that's enough of that. You get the point. Okay, sorry about that. So Social Security's not going to do it. We're going to do it for them, right? All right. Okay, next is widow, surviving spouse. It's the same thing. I had a question yesterday. What's the difference between widow and surviving spouse? Widower, it's all the same thing. So it's a surviving spouse. All right. So if you know anybody, you or someone you know, is receiving a surviving spouse benefit. They were married and that person passed away and they filed, and they're getting X amount of money. What happens theoretically is once the benefit amount on that person's own record, not the deceased spouse, but that person's own record, gets to be higher than what they're currently receiving from a spouse, what's supposed to happen is the local Social Security office is supposed to send that person a letter and say, hey, by the way, you can get more money on your own record if you go ahead and switch. You're 67, 70 or whatever, you can make more money on your own. But people move, and then the local office doesn't send out the letter correctly, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of people out there that are receiving widow's benefits, and their benefit on their own record is more. So if they never touch their benefit on their own record because they've been on surviving spouse the entire time, same thing. Go out there and say, hey, aren't you receiving surviving spouse benefit? Yeah. Have you ever checked your own benefit recently to see if it's increased more? Because every month you wait, the benefit goes up. And then after full retirement age, it goes up even more, 8% every year, up to 70 years old. After 70 years old, it doesn't go up anymore, except for obviously COLA and all that kind of good stuff. So there's another one that a lot of people are just walking around losing money because they need to switch to benefits on their own record. Okay, here's another one. Independently entitled divorced spouse. So there are divorced spouses out there that can go ahead and file for benefits on their own record, and they do at 62, 63, whatever. Or maybe they're not insured on their own record, and they are entitled to benefits on a ex-spouse, but they're saying, well, that person hasn't filed yet. I heard from my kids they haven't filed yet, so I guess I have to wait for them to file. No. This is called independently entitled divorced spouse. This is the government, so it needs a super long name. So basically, what it is if your ex-spouse, even if that person hasn't filed, doesn't matter. If they're 62 years old and you've been divorced for that person for 2 years, I'm not sure why the Social Security of the government says you have to be divorced for 2 years, but that's the way it is. If you're finally divorced from that person for 2 years, you're entitled to benefits on their record. Doesn't matter if they filed or not. Doesn't matter. And it doesn't affect your benefit amount, whether they filed at 62 or 65 eventually, whatever the case may be. Your benefit amount is based on their full retirement age, their PIA at the full retirement age. So if you know people out there like that that said, "Yeah, I want to file on ex Bob or Susan's record, but he or she hasn't filed yet," tell them, "No, no, 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 no. Go get your money now. Go get your money." Okay, another one. Children. If you are receiving retirement or disability benefits and you have children under the age of 18 or that became disabled before the age of 22, they are entitled to those benefits until they reach 18 or 19 in a few months if they're still in high school. If they're disabled before the age of 22, they can receive benefits forever. So if you're currently receiving retirement or disability benefits and you have children in those categories, please, please, please file. And one that a lot of people miss is your spouse, your current spouse, or it could be your divorced spouse if they're taking care of the kids under the age of 16 or disabled children, can get what's called auxiliary child and care benefits. So it's basically Social Security says, okay, you've got one spouse that's retired or receiving disability, and the other spouse has to stay home, to take care of the disabled child or the child under 16. So uh, we'll give that person some money. It's called auxiliary child and care, or it could be surviving child and care for survivor benefits. So if you got a parent that passed away, then the remaining parent can get money to take care of those children, essentially. One of the things on that is there's called a family max. So there's only a maximum amount that can be paid out on a particular record. So sometimes it doesn't pay and to do it because it'll just take from the other kids or something. So and speaking of taking from others, so but when you go down to Social Security, you file for the kids and say, hey, if I file for auxiliary child and care, will we get more money total, or will it just take some money from the kids? And they'll tell you the exact calculation and everything. One more thing on divorced spouses before I move away. I did a video on this, but it's good to repeat information. That's the problem with Social Security is they don't repeat the information over and over and over, which they need to. So is divorced spouses are refusing to file benefits on an ex-spouse's record because let's say that person is receiving benefits and they've remarried and they've got children or whatever. And the spouse is saying, well, yeah, I really need that money, but I don't want to take any money from the divorce, him or her or the new family or the new kids or what doesn't take money away. There is no family max when that comes into consideration. Divorced spouses don't figure into a family max. So get that money. It won't affect, they won't even know. Your ex-spouse won't even know because their benefit is not reduced or anything. Social Security doesn't call and say, hey, is it okay or anything like that? No. So yes, get that money. All right. Another thing is disability. Uh, so many people reach out to me and through comments and say, "Oh my gosh, my monthly benefit is reduced for the rest of my life because I didn't do the right thing. Ed wasn't here 10, 15, 20 years ago." Okay, so disability. If you are under your full retirement age, so you're 62, 63, 64, and you're about to file for retirement benefits, and one of the reasons you decide to take it early is you just can't work anymore. A lot of people don't know you can file for retirement benefits and disability benefits at the same time. So if you because disability takes 6, 9 months if you're lucky to get your disability claim approved. And so what some people do is I just can't wait. I need money now. I just retired. I just stopped working. I need money now. So what they do is they can file for retirement benefits while they're waiting for their disability claim to be decided, approved or denied or whatever. So they can start receiving their monthly benefits now and wait for the disability to be approved. And it depends when the disability approves, how far they go back and everything. It might reduce your benefit amount a little bit because you took a little few months of retirement, but depends when they determine your disability is. So yes, that, you know, that can definitely affect your benefits for the rest of your life, because the disability amount is basically as if you would waited until your full retirement age. So if you're 62 now and say, I'm going to go ahead and file for retirement benefits, you take essentially a 30% haircut, reduced by 30%. But if you were approved for disability, it's like you waited for your full retirement age. So that could be another, three, four, 500, $600 or something for the rest of your life. Right. So you won't believe how many people reach out to me and say, you know, I should have done it. But, now they're 70, 80 years old and they just can't do it anymore. All right. Another strategy that people are missing out on is a split strategy. I just did a longer video on that, but it was about 4, 5, 6 days ago or so. A split strategy, if you're married and the high wage earner is going to go ahead and wait till their full retirement age, and the lower wage earner is less than 50% of the higher wage. Sometimes it just pays to go ahead and start the lower wage earners. If they're not working and not going over the annual earnings limit, just go ahead and start those benefits. And you say, but they'll be reduced. Yeah, but once the higher wage earner retires, then your benefit will be brought up to, essentially up to 50%. If you wait till your full retirement age, it will be 50% of that person's benefit amount. So it's not going to be reduced all of your life. It's only going to be reduced until that person files, but you're going to get all those checks in advance. So there's a beautiful thing. All right, work and early retirement. People out there still don't know that you can actually work while you're receiving early retirement. But you just have to limit your work, $22,320. And if you've got some low earning years in your life, because again, they determine, this retirement benefits by your high 35 years of earnings. So if you've got some zeros or some low earning years in there, if you work, those benefits increase for the rest of your life. How it happens is you work, you do your taxes, send it to the good old IRS. The IRS sends it to Social Security. Social Security looks at it and says, okay, this person made X amount of money that last year. Oh, wait, this is one of the high 35 years. They throw out one of the low ones, pop that new one in there, do the recalculation, and you get that new benefit amount for the rest of your life. And that's not only for early retirement, that's after you start receiving Social Security as well. So if you're 80 years old and you work and make more money, then it's recalculated. So you get a COLA increase and you get the high 35 recalculation every year. So all right, so those are it. And I've got 300 other videos, but I just wanted to throw out some of the most important things that people are contacting me recently and say, oh my gosh, I wish I'd have known that because I lost. So I decided to consolidate all this into one video. So we really need to get this video out to everybody. Please, again, yes, I'm pandering. Subscribe, like, share, carrier pigeon. You got any famous family members, influencers, your local news? I don't care. Tell if you've got an idea. Yeah, let me know. And make sure you subscribe because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up with the whole solvency issue with Social Security. They just came out with Medicare and Social Security solvency issues, trust fund issues in the future. There's going to be a lot of changes going forward, and I'm going to watch all those changes and notify you, and most importantly, give you all the insider tips, tricks, and secrets on how to take advantage of those changes for you and your family. Okay, that is it for all of that. If you just wanted to stick around for that, then have an awesome day. But if again, subscribe, and that way you can find us again when you do have questions. But if you do have questions today, let's go ahead and get into all the questions. And I'll stick around here for about an hour and answer all the questions I can. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, and we already got a supporter. Awesome. Freddie supported $1.99. Awesome. Got my coffee money for the day. Doesn't look like I need it with all the. I'm all hyped up here, but this is yeah. I love doing this stuff, and so. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. All right, Catherine. Does being blind get your money if you're only collecting SSDI, not SSI? I know being blind gets you more money if you're collecting SSI, but what about SSDI? No, it's yeah, basically it's just SSDI is based on your work record and what you paid into Social Security all those years. So, Zippy, SSA is trying to find out if I earned over SGA while applying for SSDI. I've been collecting SSDI for over 2 years. If they find out I went 1 or 2 months over SGA, what would they do? Yeah, so yeah, there's the whole SSDI disability, work and everything. It's good that Social Security has all these different policies to try, so you can see if you can go back to work, work through your disability, or if you improved or whether they got the trial work period 9 months, the extended period of eligibility 36 months, but it's all just too confusing. Yeah, but so if you worked over 1 or 2 months, then they could just write that off as one of your trial work periods if you were approved for disability before that. If it was before you were approved for disability, they can write it off possibly as called a UWA, which is an unsuccessful work attempt. So you applied for disability, but it was taking Social Security, months and months and months to make the decision, and your landlord or the bank, ain't gonna wait. So you just had to go out there and work through your disability and make money to, turn on the electricity and all that kind of stuff. But you just weren't able to do it. Sounds like you only did it 1 or 2 months. So just ask them to write it off as an unsuccessful work attempt. You attempted, but it just didn't work out. So it shouldn't be an issue. Frederick, hi Ed. So if ex-spouse is still alive, I can collect Social Security on their name. I was married 10 years, good, for first spouse, and yes, she is working over 20 years in her own business. Yes, yeah. If the ex-spouse is, not alive, either one. If you were married to that person for 10 years or longer, or you were married to them when they passed, yeah, you are entitled to benefits. Hopefully, you haven't remarried. If you've remarried, then um, you can't get living spouse benefits, but you can get surviving spouse benefits if you remarry after 60. So, yeah, if you're already receiving benefits on your own record, then immediately call Social Security. And you don't necessarily need to know that person's Social Security number. A lot of people, oh, yeah, I'm trying to find the Social Security. I've been trying to find it, for 2 or 3 months, and I just can't find it. You just lost 2 or 3 months of benefits. Don't do that. Call up Social Security. They'll be able to find the social. I've found millions of them with, very minimal information, name, the 5 year area of when they were born. July 60, 61, 62, 63. I've been told that many a times, and I was able to find it. Parents' names, if you got it, the city they were born. So it's very easy for a Social Security employee to find the Social Security number. So don't wait. So call up Social Security today. It's still early. Call them up and give them all that information and see if there's any money in there. And if there's any money in there, they will schedule you an appointment to take a spouse claim. All right, let's see. Oh, that was looks like the same question there. Karen, once again, thank you. With your video, I was able to start receiving benefits divorced spouse just a year. Last year at 60. Yeah, all right. All right. I like it. See success. That wasn't me, Karen. That was all the people that here I am pandering again. It's all the people that press like and subscribe. And that's the reason you got that video. So thank JC, and let's see, Frederick and Cadillac Jack and Zippy and yeah, all those people, those are the reason you got that. That's the reason you got that money. So thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right. We are a team here. Okay, JC, Dr. Weir, I subscribed. I love your channel. Yeah, thank you. There you go. JC probably has got money for other people as well. I recommend Help's channel. He's doing something like you are, doing a great job. See if there's Department Help's channel. Okay, I'll check that out. Is he the one doing kind of like social services, like food stamps or something like that? Yeah, I saw someone like that. Maybe that's him. Thank you for continuing to share great information for people to maximize benefits. Yeah, you're welcome, Cadillac. Zippy, continue questions. I haven't worked since on SSDI. can't work. I don't think I went over SGA. I was self-employed and had a lot of business expenses. Yeah, self-employment is kind of touchy with when you're looking at disability benefits because if you ever had a business, you can work forever and not make any money. So it's not only how much you made net income; it's how many hours you put in doing it and stuff like that. So you just tell them the reality of it and say, hey, here's what I did. All right. I was a widow and remarried at 50. Can I get widow's benefit if the second marriage ended in divorce at 61? Yeah, yeah. If you can remarry after 60 and it's no issue. But if you're married at 61, 70, whatever the case may be, and you had three prior marriages and one of them is alive and the other one's deceased and another one's alive, the Social Security employee, that's their job. I've done it hundreds of thousands of times. You have to go through each one of them. Okay, no money here, no money here. Oh, bingo, here's the extra money. And you can jump. So I should have included this on the thanks for reminding me there, see, that you're receiving benefits on number three, ex-spouse. And because on number one, they're that person is still alive, so you only get up to 50. This one you get up to 100. But then a year, 3 years, 4 years later, number one dies. And so you can jump onto that one. Okay. So that is more money in there. And TikTok, I apologize. I'm not answering your question. I think I've given up on TikTok because part of the talking about Social Security, I have to talk about death and dying and all that kind of stuff. And so TikTok hates me. So all the TikTokers, come over to YouTube. You're gonna TikTok might be banned anyway, so just come over to YouTube, subscribe, and ask your question there. So, what if the divorce decree says as if never married? So if you're if yeah, that makes no sense. I mean, if your marriage was um, annulled, it depends on the state and how long after it could be annulled or something like that. But yeah, no, and that's a trick that again, there's so many places that people are losing money. That's why I've done 300 videos plus, and I'm going to do hundreds more as long as y'all keep helping out. Um, is um, Spouses and their lawyers try all kinds of tricky things, like possibly Darlene here, where they put in the divorce. You're never getting any of my money, any of my pensions, my 401k, my Social Security, or anything. So people, and they sign it off and they get the divorced and get their whatever. And so they think they can never get that person's Social Security, and Social Security doesn't care about that at all. Again, I've done this hundreds of thousands of times. When you take your divorce decree and your marriage certificate in there to get spouse benefits, ex-spouse benefits, the Social Security employee looks at the names, the date you were married, the names on the divorce decree, the date you were divorced, and nothing else. They don't look at anything else. None of the other stuff is relevant. Okay, to be totally honest, sometimes those divorces back in the 1970s, I always like to hear, I'm a car guy, so I always like to say, okay, the Chevelle, you got the 19, oh man, I wonder where that Chevelle is now. So yeah, but other than that, they don't care. It's none of their business. So yeah, I would definitely take that down. If you were married 10 years and there's money there, I would definitely take that down, and I wouldn't worry about as if never married. If that's a state thing, it's an annulled. But if it's just some lawyer and trying to be funny in there, I've never seen one of those. So it's probably because people don't know. People are scared to think, well, it says never married, so I was never married, and that's why I never saw it because they never went down. But you're going to go down, and you're going to see, and let us know what happens. Sarah, if I get at 62 and my ex passes, or can I collect from his record even though I am already on my own record? Of course, married for 10 years. Yes, that is the only way you can collect benefits on an ex-spouse. Well, as long as that person is living. So yes, you have to file for benefits on your own record first. So you get however much on your own, and if your ex-spouses or your current spouses is over twice your full benefit amount, not what you're receiving, but your PIA, not your MBA, your monthly benefit amount. Sorry, Social Security acronyms. But so you don't probably know what the other person's PIA is. That's why I say call up Social Security and say, hey, here's the person's name and date of birth, and as well as I know it, and any money there. And if there's money there, then they'll schedule an appointment. If there's no money there, they'll say, yeah, no, there's no claim to be taken here, so we're not going to schedule an appointment. And and that is where people lose the money. They hang up the phone, and that is completely out of their mind for the rest of their life. But they don't realize if that X is still working again, year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, their benefit amount is higher, and now there is a little bit there, or that person deceased passes away, and yeah, now it all changes. So yes, if um, yes, I would call up Sarah. Please call up and find out if there's any money on that record. With everything else with Social Security, if you retire early, it's reduced. There are some exceptions. Some survivor benefit calculations are very convoluted, so I always recommend reach out to Social Security. There's a bunch of websites out there that has all these calculators, but sometimes, a lot of times, they're not accurate. The definitive number comes from Social Security. All right. Let's see here. I am disabled, divorced, ex-spouse. Will age 62 only the time I can file and collect? No. If you are a disabled, divorced ex-spouse, you could very well collect disabled widows benefits. So disabled widows benefits is between the age of 50 and 60. So if you're disabled and your ex passed, then I would definitely call Social Security and ask for DWB, disabled widows benefits, and that'll get you 71.5% of the deceased's primary insurance amount. But they'll tell you how much it is and all that kind of good stuff. And then with survivor benefits, widows benefits, that is the one type of claim that you don't have to file on your own record first. Because remember, at the beginning here today, I was talking about you can get survivor benefits, widow benefits, and then collect them for years and years and years. And while you wait for your own benefit to increase. And then, at 67, 70, your benefit amount is way higher or something than what you're currently receiving, then you jump onto your own. You can only do that with survivor benefits, widows benefits. You can't do that if the person is currently living. If the person is currently living, you have to file on your own first and then file on their record. Jimbo, oh, happy Mother's Day to everyone. That's right. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you enjoy this information. Oh, see, look at that. We got an awesome community, everybody looking out for each other. Yes, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Yes. Hopefully, hopefully a lot of people. Yeah, so reach out to your mother and your mother's mother. And yeah. All right. Hi Ed, when I go to the Social Security office to apply, do I file the information on a computer there, or do they fill the information for you? Yeah, no, they do everything for you. So if you're going in there to file a claim, and most offices only take appointments if you're actually filing a claim. So call up the 800 number and schedule an appointment rather than just walking down there. You'll wait for hours and hours and hours probably. So schedule an appointment, and it could be a phone appointment at your house or at the local office or whatever the case may be. So yeah, and they ask you all the questions and they do everything for you. So Linda, so I'm 60. I was married 13 years. My ex-spouse is now 62. Are you saying I can file on his record now and get half of his PIA adjusted down because I'm not FRA, which switch to my benefit at FRA? No, because he's living. No, you have to file on your own record first because he is. Is he alive? Yeah, I assume he's yes. So he's alive. So you have to file for benefits on your own record first, and then you'll get up to 50% of his benefit amount. Yes, it will be reduced because you're filing early. All right. Let's see. Ford, let me make sure that I understand. I am the high earner. Okay, let's see if there's any follow-up questions on that. Yeah, okay. Catherine, how is the split okay, but they did away with the suspension unless born between 54? Makes no sense as they seem the same. No, it's please clarify. Thanks so much for the valuable information. Yeah, so Catherine is talking about the file and suspend. So it's basically um, if you would have, let's say, a couple that's both 62 years old, and this person, the high wage earner, wants to go ahead and file, but they don't want their money because they're going to still work and everything, and they want their benefit to increase. So what they did is the spouse filed for benefits, and then the other spouse filed for benefits. And so this one filed a spouse claim on this one. So you got three different claims. So this one is receiving their own benefits and then also receiving spouse benefits. But this person just goes ahead, oh, okay, well, now that you started your benefits, I'm going to go ahead and suspend mine so mine don't increase in the future. And so Social Security said, yeah, that's no, that's kind of working the system the way it's not supposed to work that way. So the split strategy is the lower wage earner files one claim on their own record and can't file the spouse claim until the higher one actually files. So whether it's next year, next month, or 5 years from now. So, um, Ed, I am 60 years old. I cannot find a job. Can I apply at 60 or I have to wait till 62? If you are looking at survivor benefits, you can start at 60. Regular retirement benefits are 62. Joey, good information. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anita, Dr. Ware, you are the best. Ah, thank you. I'm 54 and have shared your info with everyone that who will listen to me, especially people my age. Awesome. Yes, we need to get. Yeah, you'd be amazed at people. Just the whole thing is complicated. I know, but it, it seems like when I used to take retirement claims and everything, I would go out into the lobby and call the person's name. And I think a lot of them just started preparing for retirement while they were waiting in the lobby, for me to call their name. So yeah, and it's I just thought about that while I was out in the lobby. Wait a second, you should have done this like 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So yes, every now and then I do a video to try to appeal to the young people so they can, yes, prepare. Um, because, when you're young, you're never going to get old. But anyway, the alternative to getting old is far, far worse. All right. Hi, Ed. Got a question. I was getting disability from my record. I turned 62, getting my ex spouse money now. How are my money calculated? Am I getting disability? Am I getting Medicare? All right. So sounds like you're be getting, your disability will continue. So it's kind of like filing early. You're getting benefits on your own record. So you're what's called dual entitlement. So you're receiving entitlement on two different records. Your own is disability and your ex-spouse. As long as you continue your disability, your Medicare will continue. So you are 100% good. And then once you hit your full retirement age, then your disability will just be converted from disability to retirement benefits. Check and everything is still going to stay the same. So, all right. Sounds like you did the right thing. I like it. Jody, I'm married over 30 years. If I divorce, am I allowed to get any of my spouse's Social Security benefits? Both are on Social Security. He gets over 3,000. I get 1,000. Yes, yes. If you were married to that person for 10 years or longer, and you're no longer married right now, absolutely call up Social Security. And yeah, so if you're full retirement age, then you'll get another $500 on that person's record. But again, it's he's getting 3,000. So if he waited till his full retirement age, then you'll get 500. But if he took it early, then you might get a little bit more. So Ford, my wife turned 62. She can draw hers without having benefit reduced later on when she draws half of mine. Correct. Yes. Yes. So if let's say um, when you file, she'll get $1,000 uh, from your record. what they do is they subtract how much she gets out from her own. So if she was getting $200, then she'll get $700 from yours. If she was getting $400, then she'll get $600 from you. If she was getting $500, she'll get $500 from you. So it doesn't matter when she files. It only matters when she files the spouse claim, how old she is when she files the spouse claim. So if she waits until her full retirement age, she'll get, 50%. So good question. Good question. M. Rose, Dr. Ed, how did Social Security arrive at the 12-year minimum to be married in order to collect on ex-spouse's Social Security after divorce? Yeah, it's a 10-year minimum. Yeah, that's been around for decades and decades. Yeah, I'm sure there's maybe something go back to the Depression or post World War II. The average married last, whatever. I have to check out that. Yeah, I'm surprised I don't know. I'm kind of a Social Security historian, and I wonder what the origins of that are. Yeah, I have to check that out. Good question. But yes, it is 10 years. You had to be married to the your ex-spouse for 10 years, not a day short. As I say all the time on these videos, Social Security has exceptions, the exceptions, exceptions. There's 20,000 pages of policy manual in there. It's just crazy. That's why I'm doing all these hundreds of videos. But that's one thing there's no exception for. You had to be married to the person. Well, I guess I'm lying. You had to be married for the person 10 years. Well, I guess I'm not lying. If your state counts marriage as a common law, if your state is common law, and if you were married, in every other state for 5 years, but in your state they also recognize the 5 year of common law marriage, so I guess it is marriage. Then yeah, then you can then you can get it if your state recognizes the 10 years. And what a lot of YouTubers and TikTokers and everybody out there gets wrong is it doesn't have to be consecutive. This is explains why there's 20,000 pages of policy. It doesn't have to be consecutive. You can actually be divorced from that person. So you can be married to that person for 5 years, get divorced on January 1st, and they get remarried the following calendar year. So it doesn't have to be 12 months, but the next calendar year, you can get married December 31st. So you can actually be married, divorced for 2 years minus 2 days. Get remarried to the same person and be married to the other that same person for another 5 years. So they can put those two together, and that's 10 years. But if there's about 6% out there of people that get remarried to the same person. So they're entitled. So I bet you there's a bunch of people out there, thousands of people out there, they're not getting benefits because then they eventually divorce that person, that don't know about that. So yeah, so they could add those two periods together. And what I was going to say is that um, when you go into the Social Security office, one of the problems is if you go into Social Security office, the person at the front windows are kind of the least paid and the hardest worked, but unfortunately they have to know a little bit about everything. So they don't know the really intricate minutia of particular programs. So sometimes you get incorrect information at the front windows. So if you went in there and say, yeah, I was married to this person 5 years, and then we got remarried the following year, and we were married another 7 years, that person is going to say you're not entitled to go away. And people go away all the time. And auxiliary child and care, I was talking to someone, and they said they went in their file for child and care benefits, and the person at the front window said you can't do that until you're 62 years old. What? The child will be out of high school when I'm 62 years old. How does that make sense? Yeah. So, but that's why y'all got me, right? To come on back here and say, hey, this person at the window said X, Y, and Z. Well, what's going on with that? All right, Jimbo, fantastic info. Ed. I have 10 years of zero income. Ex-wife didn't pay the taxes for our corporation. I'm 65 and working. Yeah, the whole tax thing is, when we're young, money in the pocket, bird in the pocket or whatever, two in the bush. And particularly if your wages, then you're going to pay your FICA taxes. But if you're self-employed, there's all kinds of different ways, set up an LLC and pay yourself out of this instead of this. And so you don't have to pay the FICA taxes, or you don't make a profit, and, because you put it all back into your new truck or whatever. And, people don't think of the future. And then when they come into Social Security, seen it 100 times, millions of times, this is all I get. Well, it's based on your work and how much you actually paid into Social Security. And one of the things that people that husband and wives that have their own company, the accountants know the IRS, but they don't know Social Security, and they mess this up all the time. Is when you file taxes and you have a company together, husband and wife, you have to figure out what you're going to do with the FICA part of that. Because the accountants will just, if your company made $100,000, they'll just put it on one Social Security number. And that one Social Security number will have $100,000 of FICA taxes, and the other one will have zero, which is fine if you stay married for 10 years and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes they get divorced, and then that person had zero earnings for 10 years. So you have to figure out how you're going to do that, which is always a tough decision though. Jimbo, $5. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Lemon character lifting baby lemon in the air. Congratulations. Thank Jimbo. I appreciate it. All right. Let's see. Judy, my husband retired at 62. What percentage can I draw for widow's benefits if he croaks? Before I do, I have heard so many different answers. Yeah, so this one is a super complicated one because he filed his earliest retirement. So you can get up to 100% of that person's benefit amount. So if you wait until you're full retirement age, you can get up to 100%. If you start receiving those benefits earlier, you get a lot less, obviously. But one of the problems with Survivor, because particularly someone that filed super, super early, there's called a widow's cap. And this one is crazy difficult. This is probably the most difficult calculation. That's why you've gotten dozens of answers probably, because nobody knows until they actually do the calculation. Because I could throw up here. Let me throw up for a second here. Where is it? This is the worksheet that let me take off this little chat thing here. Yeah, this is the worksheet that has to be done. So there's a sequence, and you get the reduced widow's benefits, or you get 82.5% of the death PIA, or you get what the person was actually receiving. So the Social Security employee, the computer actually does it, has to go through all these different sequencing and determine how much your benefit amount is going to be. So super, super long story short, you could get, his benefit amount, if you started at your earliest at 60, you could get 71.5% or so of his benefit amount. If you waited till 62 and a half, you would get 82.5%. And then it's probably not going to go up any more than that because he filed, early. So the max you would probably receive is 82.5%. So yeah, that's why it's that whole thing is very, 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 very complicated. So there's that. So the best way to do it is on any of these, if you want to know the definitive numbers, if you don't want to know roughly about this much or this much percentage, if you want to know 100% exactly how much you're going to receive, how you do that is schedule an appointment and file a claim, and they will run the calculations. In this case, it'll be it's called the rib limb. You also hear it's called the widow's cap, and they will tell you exactly how much. And then you say, okay, how much will I get if I wait a year? And then they'll say, it's actually the same amount because you're, at that widow's cap. Or if something different, they'll tell you that something different. And you don't have to, these are not used car salesmen. It's not, if you say, okay, let me think about it, they are very happy because that means they can go back to their desk and they don't have to adjudicate your claim. They've got, 5 minutes, to breathe for their next 15 appointments. So you just say, okay, well, thanks for the information. I don't want to file. I don't want that money now. I think I'll wait a year because it's more money next year. And you just say, bye. And that's it. You just walk out. So they'll be very, very happy. Divorced spouse after 60. Yeah, if it's a surviving spouse. Let's see here. Charlie. Hello, thanks for your help. I am retired police officer. My wife passed away and I applied for death benefits. Long story short, they applied an offset for my government pension. Charlie, I think you put a comment in today. I think I was checking out the comments today and I've caught up on all my comments to everybody 2 or 3 days ago, but now I've got a whole bunch more. So yeah, so that's the government pension offset, the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset for those, what, 5-6% of people throughout the country that don't pay into FICA, the city, state, and county workers. Yeah, so it's a two-thirds offset. So whatever you're receiving from your non-covered pension will offset those survivor benefits, unfortunately, because everybody else in the country gets offset as well. As you know, we talk about, you get up to 50%, minus your own, and all that kind of stuff. So it's everybody else in the country that paid into Social Security gets essentially that offset. So that's kind of why they do that. Don, if my wife took Social Security at 62 and passes away, am I eligible for survivor benefits if I am 65 and have not taken Social Security? Yes, yes. And that is what you should definitely do. A lot of people, in this particular case, you can, as I mentioned, you can file for survivor benefits alone and not touch your own. So if that happens, you file for survivor benefits, even if it's lower. And they say, why would you take a lower amount? Because you're letting your own benefit amount increase. So if it's $100 lower, $200 lower, and you can deal with, a little bit lower for a little while, take the lower survivor benefits, let your own benefits increase, and then a year, 2 years, or 3 years, it might be $200 more, $300 more, $400 more for the rest of your life. So yeah, you definitely have to take that calculation into consideration. Yeah, Charlie. Yeah, yeah, you're definitely the one that left. I was going to respond back to your YouTube comment, so I'll do that. Yeah, if yeah, you might be exempt, but I'll just tell you now, if you check out the policy and you're exempt from the GPO and they apply the GPO, the government pension offset, incorrectly, then request a reconsideration, SSA 561, and then write down. There's only a couple of lines you can write down there. You can add a piece of paper and give you a long story, but I wouldn't. I just said I should not be offset because I was eligible for my pension in 1980, and that's it. And just submit it, and someone else will take a look at it. Can I just walk into a Social Security office, or do I need an appointment in San Diego? Um, yeah, I know the district manager in San Diego, and some offices are kind of, yeah. In my office, if you got in the door at 4 o'clock, then we took care of you that day. But some offices, oh yeah, we're too busy right now. Schedule an appointment and come back later, whatever. But I think the San Diego office, there's several San Diego offices. So I think, yeah, you can just walk in, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely schedule an appointment. Um, Megan, I'm disabled as well and divorced. I was married for 19 years. My ex isn't paying the alimony. So my only income is my disability. I'm 65 and he is only 64. Can I draw on his Social Security? Yeah, it sounds like you're eligible. It depends on the benefit amount, how much you're receiving, and how much he is how much his benefit amount is. Remember, he doesn't have to have filed. So yeah, I would definitely call Social Security and say, "Hey, here's my ex-spouse's information, his name and his date of birth. If you know his Social Security number, awesome, but no problem." And then say, "Any more money there?" And they'll look at it real quick, and if there's any money, they'll schedule an appointment for you and get you there that money. So, all right, again, TikTok, yeah, TikTok is not good for live Q&A here because I talk about people passing away and all that kind of stuff. So all your TikTokers, come on over to YouTube, and the water's fine. Come join us. You can just go onto my homepage and I've got my YouTube link there. So All right, Linda. Are surviving widow's benefits subject to reduction due to too much earnings when you are under fraud? Yes, yes. So survivor benefits and spouse benefits and retirement benefits are all, retirement related type of programs. So yes, there is the annual earnings limit, the $22,320. Anything over that, Social Security withholds $1 for every $2 you go over. So, and once you hit your full retirement age, then you can make all the money in the world and it doesn't matter anymore. Let's see. My ex-spouse collected in 2012. I am disabled since 1998. I would only collect when I turned 62 off his record. No, not necessarily. If you're disabled, I would definitely collect it in 2012. So that your ex-spouse is definitely receiving benefits. You're receiving, yeah, it depends on, yeah, you'd have to be 62. Yes, yes. Okay, you're receiving, okay, you've been on disabled since 1998. So, um, if your ex-spouse is deceased, then you can do it at 60. But okay, yes, yes. So you have to wait till 62. Um, and I was also thinking of the widow's benefits, but it sounds like your previous is still alive and kicking. So yeah, so you have to wait till 62. Um, Sorry for the disjointing question. Yeah, no problem. Tried to send, but lost my connection. My pension is before the offset was implemented. How is the best way to get back and correct the decision? Yep. So just that, the SSA 561. Catherine, does the split apply to a divorced spouse? Yes. She files at 62, but waits till her higher earner X files at 70 and gets half of his, much greater than hers. Um, yes and no. I would not wait until that person reaches 70 because you're not going to receive any benefit waiting for that person to file at 64, 65, 70, because your benefit amount is based on that person's full benefit amount. Even if that person is 62 and you file at your 62, your spouse benefit is based on what that person would receive at their full retirement age. At 70, that person will receive the full delayed retirement credits, another 24% tacked on there, but you won't get that until that person passes away. Surviving spouses can get delayed retirement credits. Current spouses cannot. So, but if you're on the record even getting, a buck or something like that, when that person passes away, you get, if you're your full retirement age, then you'll get 100% of his benefit amount plus the delayed retirement credits. .com. I'm retired and on survivor benefits off my ex record. I have a disabled son who is not the biological child of the ex I'm collecting from. Yeah, then yeah, you wouldn't be able to. The child wouldn't be able to collect benefits from that record. The child would be able to collect benefits from your record or the natural parent. Um, and yeah, and it's all right. Let me just throw something out there on proving um, natural parents. Some people, they have a child, but one of the parents is not on the birth certificate and they were never married, so it's difficult to prove. Um, so if that person who's the mother or the father has disappeared or whatever the case may be, but they're filing for retirement or they're receiving retirement or disability benefits, and you have their natural child, but you were never married and it's not on the birth certificate, and you're saying, well, I'll never be able to get benefits. Let me tell you a story. I had one like that, and the same thing, not on the birth certificate, not married. Um, but if you could prove that you were cohabitating during the period of conception, 9 months before, in Florida too, I think, 9 months before, um, then Social Security can use that. And let me tell you one of the cases I had where this young mother came in and she was dating some guy that turned out to be a real piece of work, and we got her benefits. How do we get her benefits? I asked her a bunch of questions, a bunch of questions. Okay, let's see how we can get this proven. And this guy was a bad guy. He abused her while they were living at some, you know, day in hotel or something like that. And there was a police report. So she got the police report that around that time, police said, yeah, this couple were living together at this particular place, and we were able to use that as they were living together, cohabitating in that area, in together. And we used that, and the child got benefits from that person who would eventually did get shot and killed because they were, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's amazing. Again, that's the 20,000 pages of policy, that there, there's probably hundreds of people out there that, could get child benefits for their kid because of a situation like that. But the Social Security employee just doesn't go, one step beyond, and the people don't know what questions to ask. So anyway, um, please share more details on common law. Do you need to be living in a common law state when filing for it to be recognized? No, you don't have to be living in a common law state when you file, but you do have to be living in a common law state when we're actually living together. So we've had people that, moved to our state, but they were living with someone, 10, 20 years ago. And and it was, recognized in that state. So you just have to go. And again, 20,000 pages of policy. There's pages and pages of pages on common law and exactly how to prove it and what states have it. And some states had it and then they stopped it and all the rest of it. So, Jimbo, bye for now. I have to drink 2 beers to get energized by listening to the Ramones. All right, good deal. CBGB. All right, legacies. What proof is needed for some common law? Yeah. Before I go out there and get all the documentation that you require, I would um, get I would set up an appointment, um, get get your appointment and tell them it's a common law, and the claim specialist will look at the 20,000 pages and say, okay, okay, your state is a common law marriage, and to prove it during that time period, this is what you need. So they'll tell you exactly what you need. So don't go out there and kill yourself and waste a bunch of money trying to get this, that, and the other when you might not need it. So the Social Security employee will tell you exactly what you need. I am collecting my benefits. My ex-spouse, 30 years. There is extra money for military war zone, I think, 300. Am I eligible to get half of that benefit? Well, yeah, it's not. Yeah, if you're talking about the extra benefit they put on, they give to veterans, it's not extra 300. It's 300 added to their earnings, back when they served. So, like I served from 82 to 90 in the Marine Corps. And so, if I made $10,000 in 82, they would just add another $300 in it. So, make a couple dollars difference maybe in your benefit amount. But yeah, so hopefully when that person, your ex, filed, they showed their DD 214. Before I go, 135 people watching, only 59 likes. Come on, everybody like. All right, everybody's always looking out for us. Does disabled adult child get 50% of dad's benefit when he files at 70, or do they calculate the benefit from his FRA? Yeah, so they get benefit the 50% of the primary insurance amount, if the parent is alive. Deceased, 75%. Okay, like that was a Leslie. Hi, Dr. Weir. Dallas Social Security said my marriage by common law since 2013 was negated by my legal marriage, thus not allowed surviving spouse benefits. Seems cruel and ridiculous. Yeah, Texas. What are you going to do with Texas? I went to high school in Texas, Paris, Texas. So I can harass Texas. But no, if yeah, if you disagree with that decision, then you have the right to appeal it. So someone might have interpreted the policy, the 20,000 pages, differently than someone else. So you can request an SSA 561, a request for reconsideration, and say, hey, I disagree with your decision. I don't think it should have been negated. I think I should get that common law recognition. Let's see here. I get some people that haven't asked any questions here. If I retire at 62 and for example, my Social Security is 1,200, how much can I earn working part time? Thank you. $22,320. So anything you go over that while you're filing it, early is except when you turn your full retirement age is different, but now it's $22,320, and they withhold $1 for every $2 you go over that amount. Michael, I was married to my wife for 23 years and we divorced in 2008 and she passed away in 2014. Am I entitled to any of her benefits? Could variably, yeah, could very well be entitled. You were married 10 years, so um, uh, I would definitely check out survivor benefits. If you're at least 60 years old, I would give Social Security a call and find out if there's any survivor benefits involved. Hopefully when she passed, oh, you divorced. Okay. So you wouldn't get that lump sum death payment thing. But yeah. And again, documentation, don't worry about the documentation, worry about that later. Social Security employee will tell you what documentation you need. Don't lose money while you're waiting for documents. So people do that all the time. Say, well, I want to file for this, that, or the other, but I'm waiting for marriage certificate, a divorce decree, or birth certificate or something. And so once I get that, I'll call. No, no, no. You've just lost all that money. Call first and set up an appointment, because your appointment won't be for a month or 2 months anyway. And then a month, 2 months down the line, when you actually do file, they'll start your benefits the month you called. That's called protective filing. So, Megan, Social Security office here told me that I can't draw off his account until he retires. Yeah. So you were, is this person, if the person is alive, or excuse me, if the if you are currently married to that person, that is correct. If this is a divorced spouse that you were married to for 10 years, that is 100% correct. So again, if it's a divorced spouse, then that's that frontline Windows giving you incorrect information. So go down there and say, I want to file a claim for independently entitled divorced spouse. And if the person on the other side of the window gets all dazed and confused, say, I'd like to talk to an OS, an operations supervisor. And they'll come out there and say, I'd like to file a claim for an independently entitled divorced spouse. And the OS will say, oh, okay, all right, go ahead and put them on the board. And the person will say, what's that? So they've hired so many people and it takes a couple of years to get trained. So my husband and I have been separated for 2.5 years, but not divorced. And I am on SSDI and my check is very low. Am I able to get spouse benefits from him? Yeah. So you're still married. So, you know, whether you're living together or whatever the case may be, that's not, doesn't sound like it's relevant. So if his benefit amount is over twice years, absolutely go for it. And he's filed for benefits. He has to file for benefits, obviously. Roughly SSA 754F5 for live-in law. Oh, so all right. Someone's providing forms here. You guys are awesome. Go back to court if he orders to pay. All right. I think was that the answer on the alimony thing here. So, all right. Y'all are answering each other's questions. I like it. Helping each other out. And this is what we got, a community here. Everybody like and subscribe and all that. How will Social Security distinguish my pension from my former employer from wages? Don't count pensions. Not an issue. I haven't retired yet, but hearing a recent question where you mentioned delayed vacation payout. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. Yeah, I think that was the one I did yesterday. Yeah, so the pension doesn't matter. That's unearned income. But if you start collecting your Social Security benefits early, 62, 63, 64, whatever the case may be, and you say, I'm going to stay under the monthly amount, 1860, and then all of a sudden you get vacation paid 2 months later, You just, again, if Social Security computer system catches it, and like I said, this Social Security computer system is pretty stupid. Um, they might send you an overpayment letter that says, "Hey, you said you were going to stay under the 1860, but you got this $2,000." And all you have to do is go down there and say that was for vacation pay that they owed me, and they'll take that off, and it's super, super easy. Let's see here. Alicia, I'm 66. When my ex dies, does the new wife get the benefit, or does the ex get it if he got married in Mexico? Is it valid in the US? Yeah, the whole the new wife or anything, if the new wife was married to the person for at least 9 months, then the new wife can collect survivor benefits if they're 60. And if you were married to the person for 10 years, you can collect benefits starting 60, and one doesn't affect the other. Could you imagine if Social Security did that, where you had, three ex-husbands or three ex-wives, and if one was added, the other ones would be reduced? Yeah, you would. Yeah, there'd be some, CSI Social Security out there. But yeah, if they were married in Mexico, yeah, it doesn't matter where they were married. If they were married for 10 years, or married when the person passed away, 9 months, at least 9 months. So, yep, can be married anywhere, doesn't matter. She would have to um, have some type of legal residence in the United States to get benefits. Again, it won't affect yours, but anybody has to be a U.S. citizen or green card holder. They have to have, legal status in the United States in order to get benefits. So the whole thing about, oh, these illegals getting Social Security, no, that doesn't happen. Um, they have to have legal status to get benefits. SSI, a little bit different, but retirement, survivor, spouse benefits, disability, all that. Darn, when I tried to file at 62 and said wanted to wait to file on my ex-spouse, they told me, sorry, we did away without suspending, and I was only 1 year late because I was born. Yeah, yeah, the file and suspend thing, they ended it in 2016. So there are, I think, what, just this last week is the last time that people of that age um, could do it. So yeah, it kind of, and that's why you see all these clickbait things. Hey, no, the spouse benefit has ended, and so all these clickbait, and yeah, more money next month. I did one on a few days ago. The thumbnail, the YouTube thumbnail is ice cream and unicorns. So all these YouTubers and TikTokers and news articles, promise free ice cream and unicorns forever, and yeah, they're just. Um, I read that common law recognizes you if you both filed taxes jointly. Yeah, it's again, it's the common laws. Social Security has to go by the state law because marriage is a state process. So whatever the state says, if the state says these two people are married, the federal government essentially has to recognize it. So if the state says whatever, you know, taxes or whatever, they have to do this type of taxes, all states are different, then Social Security has to go by whatever, yeah, whatever it says. All right. Wow, we're way over here. I'm gonna do one more question, and um, and then we'll call it a day. Let's find someone that hasn't answered or hasn't asked a question here. Let's get one. Linda. All right, let's just jump into this one. Linda, sometimes I feel the more I learn about Social Security, the less I know. Do 401k withdrawal? Yeah, I agree. You get down a rabbit hole and it just gets crazy. Do 401 withdrawals count toward earnings for Social Security earnings limit? Nope, they do not. Any unearned income. So if you get a 401k, or you sell your house, you win some money in the lottery, or slot machine or something like that, that's unearned income. Again, exceptions, exceptions. I always say, if you're a professional gambler or you're a real estate agent and you sell houses for a living and gamble for a living, then that's earned income. But if it's just, yeah, 401k, you are good. All right, that'll do it for today. Y'all have an awesome day. And I really, really want this particular video to go super viral. This is one that we can help a lot of people out there. So please pay it forward. and like and subscribe. And yes, I know you're tired of me hearing that. I'm tired of saying it, but please. All right, y'all take care. Have a